customer bases, low-income households dropped by double digits. McDonald's chief executive told investors last week that traffic from higher earners increased by nearly as much. And so the struggle of the Golden Arches in particular reflects a larger trend that's upending the consumer economy and makes affordability a hot policy topic. Now, McDonald's execs say that the higher cost of restaurant essentials, such as beef and salaries, they've pushed food prices up, and they've driven away lower income customers who have already been squeezed by the rising cost of groceries, clothes, rent, and childcare. Look, in January, I just remember hearing the president talk about ushering in the golden age of America, and things aren't looking too good for the Golden Arches. But guess what? They're not alone. Target also in the news. Fox 9 reporting that Target is to reduce prices for food, essentials, and household goods. Lowering prices, it may not happen too swiftly, but it's going to happen. This is what we know at this hour, that in an announcement, Target says it's lowering the prices on 3,000 types of food, beverages, and essential items. Target is also selling a Thanksgiving meal, which it says will cost less than $5 per person. The Minneapolis-based corporation does say that prices and availability of lower costing items may vary by location, and its website, target.com. The price reduction is starting this month and will go through the holiday season. What they're saying is that Target says it also is donating $500,000 to Feeding America, a national hunger relief donation. And we shall see. We know that Target has been in timeout for some time following their decision to back away from DEI. And they've been feeling the effects of that. And so that, which they still haven't recovered from, on top of the topsy-turvy impacts of Trump's topsy-turvy tariffs, you put all this stuff together and something has got to give. And speaking of tariffs, a lot of people may be wondering, can you get a $2,000 tariff dividend check? Trump certainly has the streets talking about this tariff stimulus. So what's the skinny on this? Well, USA Today is reporting that President Trump floated the idea of sending a $2,000 tariff dividend to Americans, and his Treasury Secretary said just today, we'll see. That's all he said. We'll see. We'll see if that plan will actually come to fruition. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent told Fox News that the administration would, quote, need legislation for that when asked about the checks, adding that the checks could go out. Bessent also said that the checks would be for working families. Trump recently suggested the possibility of checks from tariff revenue, a dividend of at least $2,000 a person will be paid to everyone. That's what he posted on November 9th on Truth Social. So we shall see, but I'm not sure if you should hold your breath this holiday season. When we come forward, we are switching gears. Always delighted to be in conversation with immigration lawyer and our resident expert, Alan Orr. So much afoot, particularly on the international front. Some major breaking news with a major breakthrough in the UN Security Council adopting a U.S. peace plan for Gaza. When I read this right away, I thought, okay, what does this mean for the Palestinians? What does this mean for refugees? What does it mean for a more peaceful future and more stability in the Middle East? We're going to get Alan's reaction to that and more when we come forward. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
If you've been diagnosed with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis, This is what it sounds like to be a million miles away. Imagine being a million miles away. Tremfya Kuselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy. With Tremfya, clearer skin is possible. In clinical trials, at least 70% of patients saw at least 90% clearer skin at 16 weeks. Results may vary. Tremfya is also indicated for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Call 1-800-526-7736 or visit tremfya.com.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. Let me be clear about what we're witnessing here. A textbook case of talking about communities instead of talking with them. Pedro Pizarro, president and CEO of Edison International, found time this week to sit down with the LA Times to discuss their so-called fast pay program for those impacted by the Altadena-Eaton Canyon fire. We think it is neither fast nor fair, but when we organized the community town hall, Southern California Edison first confirmed participation and then abruptly canceled. There was no time available on Mr. Pizarro's calendar for a face-to-face conversation with the individuals and families who have lost everything due to the negligence of Southern California Edison. This is not an accident. This is a choice about who deserves direct engagement and who gets managed through press statements. When you talk to the LA Times about people, you control the narrative. You get to frame the issues on your terms, with your spin, filtered through journalists who may or may not push back. But when you show up to a town hall, you face real questions from real people experiencing real problems. There's no PR buffer. There's real accountability. This pattern of being available to corporate media, but unavailable for community dialogue, sends a clear message about whose voices matter and whose don't. It's the kind of disrespect that hides behind busy schedules and prior commitments, but the community sees right through it. If these issues are important enough to discuss with the LA Times, they're important enough to discuss directly with the people living them. Anything less isn't just disrespectful, it's a fundamental failure of leadership and accountability. Mr. Pizarro says in the LA Times interview, I need to go to the supermarket in Pasadena or Altadena and be able to look people in the eye. We want to do the right thing for our community. You had a chance to look folk in the eye at our town hall meeting last week, but you didn't show up. And then we invited you for a one-on-one conversation here at the station, but you have yet to confirm. So please stop with the gaslighting. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley, and as always, we welcome your feedback.
Hit me! National News The Consequence. Informed opinion. And analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and I'm delighted to welcome back to the show Alan Orr, Esquire. He's the founder of Orr Immigration Law. He is an immigration lawyer. He is our resident expert on matters related to immigration and national politics. Welcome back to the show, Alan.
Thank you. Happy to be here. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Well, look, a major breakthrough is a major breakthrough. If this headline would have come out during the Biden administration, who knows what sort of impact that might have had in his final year in office. But the New York Times reporting that the UN Security Council has adopted a U.S. peace plan for Gaza. The council's vote was a major diplomatic victory for the Trump administration for the past 2 years as the conflict between Israel and Hamas has raged. The U.S. has been isolated at the UN over its staunch support for Israel, but apparently this proposal, which contains Trump's 20-point ceasefire plan. It also envisions a board of peace to oversee the peace plan, although it doesn't clarify the composition of the board. What do you make of this development, Alan?
So I think any news towards peace in the Middle East is good news, but the news is not the action. There needs to be more action than just sort of this is what we've done. So I'm not exactly sure how new the plan is because I knew some of the things were adopted from a plan that was presented before. And what really matters is the follow through with the plan, right? There've been tons of agreements that have been broken over time. So in that realm, on the policy side, it's great. On the migration side, it doesn't really change anything relationship-wise with the U.S. and those migrants who might need help right now.
And speaking of migrants, I mean, there were a number of Palestinians who were encouraged to seek refuge in neighboring Arab countries. We know that support from Arab countries was critical in terms of getting this out of the UN Security Council. We know that Russia and China were apparently paying very close attention to that. They were not a fan of this plan as written, but they abstained in order to let this sort of move forward in the Security Council. What does this mean for, Palestinians that may have gotten out of Gaza and maybe temporarily, in neighboring countries? Does this plan give you any confidence that there's going to be a path for them to really come home?
So a couple of things. So I can't speak to other countries' immigration law except for the United States. And so with our DED here for the Palestinians, it ended in August of 2025. It has not been extended yet. So that speaks to what our relationship is with the Palestinians who we accepted within our country with regards to what their status may be and where they've been sent to because their status has already ended or they're here. They filed asylum cases or something else to prolong their stay in the United States. With regards to the neighboring countries, part of the philosophy that was sort of presented from the Israeli government to my understanding was that they were trying to relocate people to neighboring countries to remove them from their homeland. So for someone who has a strong relationship to land in the South, that's not an answer that would correspond great to any person to be, let me displace you from the place you call home and put you somewhere else, and hopefully you can start a new career there. So it doesn't seem to fulfill the mission. So there's a couple things to be considered of is what is there to return to? Because many of the cities have been demolished and when they can return and what the rebuilding is going to happen. The second one is if you're capable of returning at all, because the country has a whole new look to it after the demolition that places are, sort of found by the grid rather than found by roads. And what are you returning to as far as a living condition? So there are a lot more things that need to happen within the structure and the rebuild, as well as there's still, much like in the Caribbean right now, there's still a lot of dead bodies and things that need to be collected and redistributed there. So the rebuild is hard. I think this is very promising, and I don't want to move away from something that's promising from something that the UN has done. But once again, it is not a wand to resolve any of the issues that are going to happen there because the UN has been involved before and things did not resolve in a fruitful way. And without the United States support, it's not really going anywhere. And right now, the United States has said they're only taking 7,500 immigrants. And we're sort of promoting our immigration strategy around the world so that other countries are also limiting the amount of refugees they can take under this whole analysis that is a sum zero game.
Yeah. And speaking of the UN, it's important to note that also Nicki Minaj is teaming up with Donald Trump and his UN ambassador. For folks who are less familiar, you should know that rapper Nicki Minaj is using her superstardom to work with President Trump's UN ambassador, Mike Waltz, on the treatment of Christian people in Nigeria. A lot of folks are saying that this is really selective activity on the part of Nicki Minaj. A lot of folks don't know her as being sort of, active related to freedom of religion, for example. We know that the president of Nigeria has pushed back on this narrative that somehow, Christians, are being persecuted. More than any other group, certainly at the levels that President Trump is proposing. Is this essentially, the Haitians are eating cats and dogs international edition, this whole situation with Nigeria? And is Nicki Minaj sort of foolishly giving this more attention than it should deserve?
Yeah. So I'm not into Nicki Minaj, so I don't know her personally. I don't follow her work. I don't follow her music. So I'm not on a platform to say that she has done anything strategic other than sort of send an email or I guess a tweet after saying, thank you for protecting the Christians there. I grew up in the Christian world. I'm very active in the Christian world. I've never seen her show up at a church or any of those other places to sort of hand out food or give her money to any of those type of things in the past before. So to me, it seems performative from the president to enlist her in the way that he's enlisted other Black celebrities in the past to sort of have a performance moment. But to step back from those things, because this is something that we should understand in a global fashion, it's the exact same thing that's happened in Venezuela. What does Nigeria have? Oil. What does the United States want? Oil. What are the conversations about these two countries happening at the exact same time? Villainizing its current leadership, planning an attack based on things that don't exist. Venezuela, drugs coming to the United States. Nigeria, killing of Christians. Well, the attack that may be legitimate in Nigeria isn't isolated to just Christians. It's Muslims, it's all types of religions under attack, perhaps in Nigeria, but not at the level in which you're sort of talking about it. And the way to present yourself isn't that you're saving one religious group, right? Because even our president isn't the best Christian, to my knowledge, from what I sort of believe. So it's sort of performative in a sense to sort of villainize people. What this administration is really good at is creating these narratives that create emotion from the American people with a desire to intervene. But in both of these cases, what they are not is the policy of America first at all, or the sovereignty of nations to handle their own things. What if some other country said, I don't like the way you're treating immigrants in your country right now. I'm going to get involved over here. The persecution of immigrants in this country, the persecution of Latinos in this country, right? If the Latin nation got together and said, the United States is persecuting Latinos, here's the film, roll B tape, right? In California, Colorado, Denver, Chicago, you name it, right now in Georgia, right? All of these films of all of these things that happen atrociously to nationals that don't belong to this country, not just adult nationals, but also children. So what if the flip were in that place? How would the United States sort of feel about it? So I think we need to have that perspective of what if it was us, shoot another foot, but also understand that Nigeria, while it's a lot of things, it is not one of those countries that is known for this wide-scale sort of persecution across the board. There may be some incidents that might need to be, but it is a sovereign nation. So therefore, we should address it in a sovereign way.
Yeah. And finally, in our remaining minutes with you, Alan, I want to ask you about how all of this is translating related to immigrant student enrollment in the United States. We're seeing it just dwindling in schools across the nation. The Associated Press reporting that from Miami to San Diego, schools around the U.S. are seeing a big drop in enrollment from immigrant families. In some cases, parents have been deported or voluntarily returned to their home countries, driven by President Trump's sweeping immigration crackdown. Should we expect to see more brain drain from our colleges and universities here in the United States as long as Trump is president?
I think so. So you actually have something that I think there's a backdrop to this. One, you have DHS promoting itself on Twitter saying, we're out of many comes one, which is the sort of logo of the United States. And then and then it goes on to say one culture, one religion, one whatever, which has never been, right? That's never been the concept of the United States as being so much this melting pot where everything becomes one thing. It's always been more of a soup where there are, as we know in the major cities, a Chinatown, right? And an Italian town, and a Black part of the city, and a Catholic part of the city, and an Irish part of the city, right? All these things exist in this country because the development of the country came from different sort of parts of the nation. And so the confusion that is happening right now is this concept that we're thinking that we're trying to roll things back to when this was a white nation. There's no other way to sort of put it in that way other than to present, remove a lot of brown immigrants, re-immigrate people who've naturalized in the country to other countries and sort of take their citizenship away, which they're trying to do to the new elected mayor of New York City. So let's talk about it on two levels. The first level is college enrollment is down. And when you talk about college enrollment being down, where's it down from? It's down from Asia and from Africa. Those are the two countries that are taking the biggest hit right now. And also following in there is India, because those countries aren't leading to green card visas where people can stay for a long term. And those people are being deported at record number. So it's a widening of the country that they're controlling through the immigration population. And for the first time ever in this country, the foreign-born population is not large anymore. The number isn't greater than it was compared to the U.S.-born population. And that's the first time in the history of the country. So it isn't a story just about student enrollment. It's a story about how we're controlling the growth of this nation and how stagnation is going to hit us, because Americans in general, for native-born Americans, aren't going to be able to repopulate to meet the desire and the need of the 2 million people have been removed from the United States already for those jobs aren't trained for.
Yeah.
In addition to that, we have new fees coming on for H-1B. So it's a all-around attack on immigration, but really focused on the type of people that we're letting into the country.
Our thanks to Alan Orr, Esquire, for giving us his hot take on some of the day's biggest trending headlines. We'll see you again soon, Alan. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
More when we come forward. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
The audience is listening. Thought-provoking, eye-opening, heart-rendering. This is where authentic voices meet powerful discussions on culture, community, and change. This is where Black voices matter. He's breaking boundaries, amplifying diverse perspectives, and tackling the issues that matter most to you. You're inside A More Perfect Union with Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Authorities in Newark, New Jersey are searching for suspects after a shooting Saturday night killed 10-year-old Jordan Garcia and 21-year-old Kia Mae Scott and wounded 3 others, including Garcia's younger brother.
But these incidents made clear that there's a lot more work to be done.
That's Black Mayor Ras Baraka addressing the tragedy, and a $10,000 reward is being offered for information. University of Dayton leaders in Ohio held a town hall after a student was shot in the ankle during a Halloween party. Members of the Black Action Through Unity group say that since the incident, racist messages have been circulating on anonymous apps, adding to concerns about campus safety. And the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department is investigating new sexual assault claims against Sean Diddy Combs. Music producer Jonathan Hay says Diddy assaulted him in 2021, filing a civil suit in July. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
East LA crash on the 5 northbound coming up on Calzona. It's the 3 right lanes that have been blocked due to a crash with a backup out of Commerce getting away from Garfield. Let's look at the South 5. That's also a mess. Loading up out of Griffith Park from the 134 freeway. Wet roads ahead and a slow drive all the way to the 605. Tough in Industry. This is the 60 eastbound coming up at Azusa. Overturned trailer blocking the 3 right lanes. The Azusa on-ramp to the E60 also out of commission. Immediate delays. Slammed from the 605. And that northbound side of the 605, loading up out of Norwalk from the 105 freeway as you travel towards the 10.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
A couple of highlights and one low light from the Rams and Chargers games on Sunday. When Rams wide receiver Devontae Adams caught a 1-yard touchdown pass from quarterback Matthew Stafford, it was the 1,000th career catch for Adams in his 11-year career. Stafford's 2 touchdown passes yesterday gives him 27 this season, tops in the NFL. As for the low light, the Chargers gave up a season-high 192 yards rushing at Jacksonville and 4 rushing touchdowns. The Chargers got manhandled at the line of scrimmage. Fortunately for the Chargers, the 192 yards rushing is not the most allowed by a team this season. The Carolina Panthers gave up 374 yards rushing to the New York Giants on October 12th. Top 5 college football teams in this week's top 25 rankings: Ohio State, Tabitha Smiley's Indiana Hoosiers, Texas A&M, Georgia, and Mississippi. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Break out the champagne. Everybody get a glass.
Tavis Smiley is now ranked number 16 nationally and the highest rated talk show hosted by an African American on the 2025 Talkers Heavy 100 list of the most important talk radio hosts in the nation. Last year, Tavis ranked number 33 and the year before, number 45. The Tavis Smiley Show has rapidly expanded its national syndication to now include nearly 50 radio stations across the country and counting. Congratulations, Tavis.
September is World Alzheimer's Month, a time to shine a light on a public health crisis that deeply impacts Black families. 1 in 5 Black adults ages 70 and older is living with Alzheimer's disease, or AD, and the risk is twice as high compared to white adults. But AD isn't just forgetting a name or losing track of time. Signs of early AD could be repeating questions, missing appointments, or struggling with bills and daily tasks. These things aren't a normal part of aging. Here's the good news. Treatments are available that may help if AD is diagnosed early. If you notice changes in memory or daily routines, whether in yourself or a loved one, don't wait. Early diagnosis and intervention are key to managing AD effectively. To learn more about AD and a potential treatment option, visit treatalsearly.com. That's treatalzearly.com to learn more about the signs and symptoms and a potential treatment option. This message is brought to you by AZI.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., the Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to building a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and really delighted to welcome my friend and colleague, Bree Jensen. Bree is the head of the social impact firm, but all career achievements aside, Bree and her family are survivors of the Eaton fire. And with this being such a rainy day here in LA, for folks who know a little bit about how wildfires work, it means that the soil from any wildfire is really loose and the danger of mudslides is higher than usual. And so this is the perfect day for us to check in with folks that are still on the rebuilding journey, dare I say, at the very beginning of the rebuilding journey. Bree, welcome to the show.
Thank you. So good to see you, Dr. Quartey. Thanks for having me.
It's good to see you too. First things first, how are you and your family recovering? I know that your family decided to rebuild and you've begun that process, but today's storm, is it in any way sort of a plot twist in the effort to rebuild?
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely always grateful for the rain, but watching the mudslide issues very carefully, I work with the Eaton Fire Collaborative, and we have a building called the Collaboratory. So emergency response has been on site using that as kind of HQ, making sure that everything stays safe. But yes, we're rebuilding. I know that many that were planning to lay foundations this week are on hold right now. Unfortunately, we're not at that phase yet. I wish we were. We've had some holdups with the permitting process, not any fault of the county, but just that this is a new process that everyone's trying to navigate. So it's been a challenge even getting to that first step of being able to lay our foundation.
I mean, it is not for the faint of heart,
No.
because I mean, there's a lot of start, stop, start, stop, start, stop. Just when you get things lined up for your contractor to come out, this happens, and we know the permitting process has been a mixed bag from what we've heard from folks. What is it that you believe elected officials still aren't hearing from survivors like yourself who have chosen to rebuild? And what could the national media do a better job at as we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of the fire?
Yeah, thanks for asking that question. First off, thank you for having me and others. I know that you've done a great job highlighting that this is an ongoing process. So I think first off, just keeping us in the news cycle. I met with a philanthropist today that said, yeah, people were excited about giving to fire relief 6 months ago, but we've moved on, and that's not really helpful because a lot of us, our recovery process is really just starting. We're just starting phase 2. We were in the emergency phase of what's even going on, stabilizing the community to make good decisions about future planning. And now we're in we all got to get back if we're going back as fast as possible because we have to pay. We have to start paying our rent or insurance. Those of us that were lucky enough to have insurance to pay for 1 year of rent, that's coming up. And then our 1 year off. And again, those of us that were lucky enough to take 1 year off from having to pay a mortgage, that's coming up at the same time. So the majority of our community is going to have to pay an LA rent and our mortgage at the exact same time. And so we just had Senator Schiff come through and talk to us at the collaborative about things to know and what to advocate for. We really need insurance to come alongside of us and pay another year of rent because as we know, we can't put a timeline on the rebuild. Things like weather, things like permitting challenges and other things come up that we can't foresee. And the fact that our whole community is going to have to pay a mortgage and a rent is wild and going to be super challenging. There's a lot of other things to know, but I just thought I would start there.
And is there any legislation that's currently pending in the California State Legislature that would offer survivors of the fire an extension on relief from paying that mortgage and, to your point, that LA rent?
Yeah, it was just passed that mortgage relief would have to be up to a year. And so most of us that took advantage of that right away, that's coming up. So we're going to need an extension. And so that legislation, to my knowledge, has not started to come up, being that it was just passed that we would get relief for 1 year.
So I just want to point out, because I know there are a number of elected officials that listen to our program, not just in the LA area, but across the country. And so much of what has happened and continues to happen to the survivors of the Eaton fire in Altadena, to survivors also in the Palisades, is that folks sort of move on, and they forget that these areas of relief actually make a material difference. I know you have a family of, was it 5 or 6?
A family of 6. One is grown and out of the house, but still impacted. Yep.
Yeah. So a family of 6, is in the very early stages of rebuilding their home in Altadena, and in a few months are going to have to pay a mortgage on a home that's not there, and they're going to have to pay an LA rent as well. And so for everybody that was out there saying, "Oh, we're going to stand by you, and you don't have to do this alone," right? This is an opportunity for folks to make sure that they meant what they said. Also, Bree, what caught my attention, you talked about philanthropy a moment ago. KTLA reporting that Disney has pledged $5 million to help reimagine Altadena's Charles White Park after the Eaton fire. The pledge is a part of Disney's ongoing $15 million commitment to help LA recover from the wildfires that occurred earlier this year. Do you think that it's appropriate for a third of Disney's commitment to go towards reopening this park when there are families like yours that are still in the early stages of trying to lay the foundation for their home, that are in the early stages of having to figure out how to pay a mortgage on a home that's not there and to pay an LA rent at the same time. I mean, call me crazy, but I thought, $5 million from Disney to build a park, is it putting the cart before the horse?
Well, I mean, I think all of us social impact people have learned from Tom's Shoes many, many years ago, where somebody came in and thought they knew what people needed, and then forgot to ask the right questions, and created maybe more challenges for a community that they didn't intend. That being said, the reason why I'm sharing that is you're absolutely right. Ask the community what the top needs are. The top needs are, first of all, already the Dodgers Foundation came out and redid our park. That was incredible. Loma Alta Park. That was something we needed to get the communities to come back and feel safe to continue to be with their kids in the area. So that was a huge thing at that time. But what we need now is not necessarily another park. There might be people that they asked that said that, but what we need is we need our soil safe to be able to come back. Which means we need grants and funding to be able to clear out a whole community, because if it's lot by lot, the next time a windstorm comes or a mudslide or anything like that, the contamination is just going to come right back. So we need funding to feel safe to even return to our properties. And then secondly, like you said, we need funding to be able to afford to build back. A lot of people are coming back to ADUs because that's all they can afford, and hoping that they can build their primary property or home later. And then we need to be able to survive this year. At every level, there's still 400 people living in their cars. And to be able to be stable enough to make a long-term decision is what people need. I appreciate the sentiment of a park, but my perspective is also there might be other priorities first.
Yeah. And speaking of priorities, I know there are a number of folks in the Altadena community that have been talking a lot about this Southern California Edison Wildfire Compensation Fund. Folks have a lot of questions about it. And let me just be clear, no judgment in terms of people who may decide that is
right.
The best option for them, or people who may decide it's not an option for them. But, my position and the position of a lot of folks on this station have been, let the community get the information they need in order to make the best possible decision for themselves and their families. And so what are you hearing from folks who are part of the Eaton Fire Collaborative? What are you hearing from some of the other grassroots groups that are trying to separate the fact from the fiction as they decide what's next for them and their families?
Yeah, so I'm a block captain, which means we've been divided up by where we live, and we basically just do the job of getting information out to our community. We've been doing barbecues every Thursday on our property. We're in west of Lake is where my home is. So you literally, there's not a single property standing around me. So we all come back together and we're talking about this, right? We want to hear what everybody feels. And literally every single property is different in this process. So I encourage everybody, and every single family is different in this process, to comb through and get all the advice you can get, whether it's from a lawyer, an advocate, somebody that understands what this proposition is saying, what Edison is providing, and what it means for you, and what it means for you in regards to your insurance and your build back and your long-term planning and all of the things. And I really think that every single person needs somebody else to keep, that's an expert to look at it for them and look at their whole scope. Because when you are going through something like this, your brain, you have trauma brain, right? Like, it's so hard to make these intense choices. Even if you're feeling settled, you're not functioning, or I say you, I'll speak for myself as a survivor. I'm not functioning the way I'm always functioning. And so it's really important, these decisions that we're making, whether it's Edison or even building back, or how we build back, or what builder to go with, all these decisions that we're making are going to impact our future. And so to have an expert that can read it for you and give you kind of the whole landscape before you make the choice, before you sign, is my advice.
I think that that is solid advice. I think it is responsible advice. It's my opinion and my observation that the people of Altadena, like the people in the Palisades, have been through a lot. And to me, I mean, we should do no harm. And doing no harm means don't make things any more difficult than they have to be, right? At the very least, we should be able to give people the information that they need. You shouldn't have to hunt for it. You shouldn't have to beg for it. You should be able to be able to ask questions directly to the people who are responsible for this wildfire fund. And you shouldn't have to hunt for them either, right? I mean, I don't know if this is the case, but, I would imagine that representatives of the SE Wildfire Fund would be there at the meetings that you're having with other Eaton Fire survivors. They should be in the community, and they shouldn't inconvenience you to have to find them or log on to, some virtual something at their convenience. And so I really want to thank you for your leadership. And I want to thank you, for always putting forward the voice of the people of Altadena. We've talked quite a bit off air. It's nice to hear your voice on air, and you're welcome to come back here again anytime to keep us updated.
Yeah, can I just share 2 resources if survivors are?
Absolutely.
Just really quickly. The Eaton Fire Collaborative, put on by the Eaton Fire, or at the Collaboratory on 540 West Woodbury. That is a hub for survivors to come in and get nonprofit resources. So if I'm giving the advice, find an expert, that's where you can find a nonprofit expert, whether it's a legal expert, insurance expert, all of that. So please come find us or go to the website. And then the DINA report is a one-stop, basically summary of all fire-related resources. So you can find that in the socialimpact.co/the DINA report.
All right, so we're going to be tapping into the DINA report, and we're going to be tracking all the work that's coming out of the Eaton Fire Collaborative. Thank you for your work and your witness, Bree Jensen.
Thank you.
You've been listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
Striving to make America a nation as good as its promise. This is A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Protect yourself from Medicare card scams. Scammers may call, email, or even knock on your door claiming they need your Medicare info, asking for money, or threatening to cancel your benefits. Don't fall for it. It's a scam. Remember, Medicare doesn't need to verify your information. They already have it. Medicare won't charge you for a new card and will never threaten to cancel benefits. Check your Medicare statements for suspicious charges and report scams to the California Senior Medicare Patrol at 1-855-613-7080. We're here to help.
In California, all workers have rights, no matter their immigration status. If you or a family member were detained by federal immigration authorities and did not receive your final paycheck, contact the Labor Commissioner's office. You can file a claim even if you left California or the U.S. Call 833-526-4636 from the U.S. or outside the country 001-833-526-4636. Document wage theft and report it to the Labor Commissioner's office.
This is the story of the one. As a custodial supervisor at a high school, he knows that during cold and flu season, germs spread fast. It's why he partners with Grainger to stay fully stocked on the products and supplies he needs, from tissues to disinfectants to floor scrubbers. All so that he can help students, staff, and teachers stay healthy and focused. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has WorkSource centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewdd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
We face tragedy, but we don't fall into despair. We continue our work to build a more perfect union.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. It's time for the quiet part out loud, and no better time to set the record straight. The GRIO reporting that Reverend Jesse Jackson is in stable condition and not on life support, and that's according to his family. Reverend Jesse Jackson is still in the hospital, but his family recently shared an update. They wanted to clarify his current medical condition following some pretty inaccurate reports. The statement read, Reverend Jackson is in stable condition and is breathing without the assistance of machines, contrary to specific reports. He is not on life support. Last week, Reverend Jackson, who'd been living with Parkinson's disease, was reportedly admitted to the hospital under observation for progressive supranuclear palsy. It's a neurodegenerative disorder that affects body movements, walking, and balance as a result of damage to nerve cells in the brain that control thinking and body movements. He's been managing this neurodegenerative condition for more than a decade. That's according to the folks over at the Rainbow Push Coalition. The family, of course, appreciates all the prayers at this time. What I thought was particularly interesting, Reverend Jackson, not only is he in stable condition, but he's already resuming some of the impactful community work for which he's known. According to his son, Yusef Jackson, he said, in fact, today he called for 2,000 churches to prepare 2,000 baskets of food to prevent malnutrition during the holiday season. So even while he is in the hospital, doing everything he can to get as well as he can, Reverend Jackson is still issuing calls to action to all of us this holiday season. If that didn't put a smile on your face, well, I'll certainly put a smile on mine. My thoughts and prayers are with our colleague, Jesse Jackson Jr., whose show is right here on KBLA Talk 1580 weekdays, and his entire family as they navigate this season. I hope they understand that they're not alone, and we are indeed keeping hope alive. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 15. In our next hour, you don't want to miss very important interview, special interview with a pretty special author. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Florida House Democrats are raising concerns about charter schools of hope opening inside of public schools.
Funding that should go to our traditional neighborhood public schools is being diverted in a way that is unfair.
House Democratic leader Fentress Driscoll, who is Black, says giving these charters free rent and services is taking money from traditional public schools where most students attend. The NBA is asking staff from multiple teams, including the Lakers, to turn in phones and records in a gambling probe. This follows federal charges involving illegal betting and insider injury info. Investigators are targeting at least 10 Lakers employees, partly due to charges against Damon Jones, a former NBA player and LeBron James associate. And Pharrell Williams was given the key to Miami for his work supporting Black innovation through his nonprofit Black Ambition. At this year's demo day, over $1 million was awarded to 25 founders, and the event featured a performance by Chance the Rapper.